What's up? I think it's time to do a little more work on this car. So let me show you what we're going to be doing today. So when I have the T-tops off, you can see this, but what's going on is that this vinyl, I don't know what to call this, but this vinyl piece that makes the roof line when you're inside the car is not being held up tight to this cross part of the T-top. This is actually part of what's called the bird cage. So it's a frame part that sits on top of the chassis, or is part of the chassis, I guess, of this Corvette. But for whatever reason, this is sagging down, and it just looks a little crummy. When I wash the car, water gets in there, and then it drips on me inside the car. So my hope is to be able to get this to stay secure up in there. So the other day when it was sunny, I actually pulled this down a little more, and what I found was inside there you can see it, there's a little screw that's meant to bolt into the same part of the actual frame. So you can see this is a thin piece of metal on top of the white frame. That's meant to bolt into there and hold this up in place. Now, obviously you can't get a screwdriver in there. And so what I think I'm gonna do is actually I saw these screws. So I'm gonna pull these screws out. And then I was thinking, okay, like how do I pull this metal piece off? Because I thought maybe there'd be a hole right there I could get to put a little fastener on and hold it. Now, that was my original plan. It seems kind of unlikely that there's room for anything to actually sit between the chassis and this metal piece. That would mean pulling off these screws as well, because this is actually all one big T-shaped piece. And here's something I'm just spotting, is that these are riveted in. So I don't think it's very likely I'm getting this off. I may be able to pull it up enough to work on it, because the rest are just screws. So I could pull this screw, and then this stuff along the dash is also, there's another screw here that looks like it's going into the side of this metal plate. So I'll probably end up having to pull a lot of this vinyl off of the car right now to get in there. But I'm gonna go ahead and try it out. I don't know if it's the best idea, but I'm gonna pull it open and have a look underneath. So here's all the hardware I pulled out of the car. These three sets of screws are actually, seem to me to be all identical screws. Well, I guess these might be a little different. You can see these are really rusty. These are the ones that were vertical right underneath this lip on the inside of the car. These ones with the gunk in them right here are the ones that came from the exterior of the car. These really nice clean ones were that sort of middle point. I pulled those from these right along here. And then the longer ones are what we're holding. Oops, these longer ones right here are what we're holding these headrests up. And you can see like they were held up like that before. Now I've got them pulled down. So with that piece off, oh, looks like I can actually fidget that loose. There we go. So that's off. Now we can get a better look in there. See those bolts? Those are supposed to go up into something. And if they were held tight, they wouldn't be able to hang down like that. So it's a matter of how am I supposed to get up into here? So that makes me think I need to get into the frame of the car, which means pulling this metal piece back, which in turn means pulling these screws, since this is unfortunately all one big piece. I really wish it were chopped here so I could just pull this chunk off, but let me go ahead and pull those out and we'll see. Before I go straight to super gluing that back up into place, I thought I might try some of these little wall anchors. If I could get one of these fit over those vertical bolts that are going to go up into the hole, my idea is, see the little ribs on, let me see, the little ribs on these things go in the other direction. They might be able to go up and then wedge themselves in that hole and just hold it up into place in a way where if I wanted to get back in there, I could just pull down hard, break the plastic to release it. So this in here, I can see, I think it was actually glued originally. I'm not sure what the purpose of these threaded pegs are. I mean, they're threaded, so it makes me think you should bolt them, but there's a hole above each one that doesn't have anything inside it or any threads. And of course, they're fixed into place by these little bars. So I think I'm going to try the press fit thing I was talking about, where I put it on there, wedge it in the hole, and hope it stays. But I'm probably going to end up going ahead and gluing this in place. Now, before I pull it up over those screws, I'm going to replace these metal screws because I don't want to glue it in place and then not be able to get into those. So let me put those back on really quick. See where my highest points are going to be. That's where I want the glue. Fortunately, that did not do the trick. So I've got a couple of these clamps I use when I'm doing some woodworking, and what I think I might do is put a little more glue on there. I wish I had a better adhesive for this, more like that stuff I used on the weather stripping, but I'm gonna work with what I've got, and I'm gonna put that on there and then clamp it into place like this, and maybe that'll give it enough time to set up and do its job. This thing really does want to pull down, and so I think it might be strong enough to break through the super glue. But if it does, I think I know what I need to do now, and if I get some stronger automotive adhesive and put it in there and then clamp it into place just like I am, I think I can fix that problem. So whether it happens tonight or not, I think I do have a fix. Alright, well, let's leave that to set for a little bit and hope it's enough. So I'm gonna let that stay and set up while it's clamped while I go ahead and reassemble the rest of this. I'm still undecided about if I want to put that visor back in. I think I will, because once in a while it has been useful with some of these really sunny days. So I'll put everything back together the way it was, and then I'll pull the clamps off and we'll see if that super glue holds. I'm not feeling super optimistic. Just don't think that's really the right glue for the job, but we'll see. So with all of the screws back in place, this thing feels really solid all around. It's time to take off this final clamp and see if that glue held this up at all. Hopes aren't super high, but there's a chance. Let's release this. Wow, okay. Let's look around at the other side. How about that? It actually worked. Clamping a little bit of super glue. And we came out better than we started. So a little bit of a miracle. Everything is back together the way it was before. A little surprised I was able to get everything back in. Not only that, but it worked. It's a very small thing, but just having this not sag down anymore is such a little victory. I'm so excited about that.